welcome to today's On This Day in Tudor History. I'm Claire Ridgway. I research and write about Tudor history for a living, quite a few hours a day, just being immersed in Tudor history and having a ball because Tudor history is my obsession. And I'm sharing that obsession with you through my books and through these videos, these daily videos bringing you Tudor history events such as marriages, rebellions, births, deaths, executions, battles, all sorts of things. Now, yesterday I told you about a battle, and we're sticking with the theme of battles because I'm going to tell you about another one today. But on this day in Tudor history, the 17th of June 1497, so 10 years after yesterday's battle I told you about, the Cornish Rebellion was brought to a decisive end by the Battle of Blackheath, which is also known as the Battle of Deptford Bridge. Now you might be thinking, if you know your geography, that Cornish Rebellion, but the Battle of Blackheath and Deptford, isn't that in the London area? Yes, it is, you're right. So this is when Henry VIII's forces were triumphant against those of the rebels. Now, a year earlier, King Henry VII had attempted to introduce new legislation regarding tin mining in Cornwall into the Cornish Stannary Parliament. However, he was met with opposition from the Cornish tin miners. They were even more unhappy when he then suspended the Stannary Court, meaning that they lost privileges that the stannaries had offered them since the early 1300s, and so were no longer exempt from civil jurisdiction or from paying taxes. So these Cornish tin miners were very, very cross. And in 1497, things got even worse when heavy taxes were levied for the king to finance his campaign against Scotland and also against Perkin Warbeck as well. So lots and lots of unhappiness, unease in Cornwall. Now, the Cornish rebels, led by Michael and Goth, blacksmith, and Thomas Flamank, a lawyer, decided to march from Cornwall to London to air their grievances and to call for the execution of John Morton, who was the Archbishop of Canterbury at the time and who was also the King's Lord Chancellor, so the man that they held ultimately responsible for all of these changes. Because you couldn't really blame the king, you had to use a scapegoat, didn't you? Now, as the rebels marched through Somerset, they were joined by James Touchett, 7th Baron Audley. They then marched through Bristol, Salisbury and Winchester before moving into the county of Kent, where they hoped to drum up support there in Kent from the citizens of that county that had risen up. Can you have citizens of a county? Well, the people of that county. These people had risen in the past under that famous rebel Jack Cade. So it was a county known for rebellion, and these Cornish men hoped that Kent would rise up with them. But unfortunately, they were unsuccessful in their mission of getting more supporters in Kent. By the time the rebels arrived at Blackheath, which is now a district of southeast London, on the 16th of June, Henry VII had diverted the army that he'd sent north with Giles Lord Daubeny back south to meet the Cornish rebels. He'd got wind of what was going on, so diverted the army. Daubeny's forces numbered an estimated 8,000 men, and the rebels had started with 15,000, but by the morning of the 17th of June, many had deserted. leaving the Cornish rebels with 9,000 to 10,000 men, which is still a good number and was still more than the king's forces. However, the king's mustering then brought the royal forces to about 25,000. So the Cornish rebels were significantly outnumbered by the king's men. The Earls of Oxford, Essex and Suffolk attacked the rebels from the right and from the rear, and Daubney's forces attacked them at the front, so they were very much surrounded. Now at Deptford Bridge, it looked like the Cornish archers would beat Daubney's forces, but then Daubney's spearmen were able to take the bridge. Without horses, without artillery, the Cornish forces were just no match for those of King Henry VII. The rebels were finally forced to surrender after losing somewhere in the region of 1,000 to 2,000 men. The royal forces were able to capture about 1,500 rebels, although rebel leader Michael Angoff was able to escape the battlefield and flee to Greenwich. But he was apprehended in Greenwich and taken to the Tower of London. Michael Angoff and Flamank were hanged, drawn and quartered at Tyburn on the 27th of June 1497 for raising this rebellion against the king, and Baron Audley was beheaded on Tower Hill on the 28th of June 1497. It was Baron Audley, being of the status he was given a more merciful death. Being beheaded was definitely more merciful than being hanged, drawn and quartered. You might need to have a look at some of my other videos to realise just how bad being hanged, drawn and quartered was. It was not the way that you would want to go. So that's what happened on this day in Tudor history. We have this Battle of Blackheath, or of Deptford Bridge, this decisive battle where King Henry VII's forces really annihilated those of the Cornish rebels. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, then please do give it a like. You can subscribe to this channel by clicking the button which tends to hang out around about there. You can hit the bell to be notified as new videos go live as well. But I am bringing you these videos every day, so there are plenty more to come this year. So we're only in June. Lots more Tudor history to go. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.